Class 6 Biology, Chapter 3rd, Human Body. Good morning, students. So, students, in our last meeting, we talked about this small intestine, where I told you that it is somewhere 7 meter long. Although the name is small, but it is the longest part of the alimentary canal. It is somewhat 7 meter long, and it is divided into three parts called duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. Okay, and most of the absorption or digestion takes place in this small intestine only. And to have a good digestion or more efficient digestion, that small intestine from inside, it has some finger like projections called villi. Okay, and singular form is villus. So in our last meeting I told you how this villi looks like. Okay, so basically it is meant for the absorption of the digested food, and thereafter the food now which is less in nutrient content, because most of the food has been digested over here, but still the food has some less amount of nutrients with it. The that food is passed through the large intestine. Okay, and now the name is large intestine, but it is only 1.5 meter long. So why it is called large intestine? Because it has a greater diameter, that is 6.5 centimeter wide it is. So it is the widest part, you can say. Okay, in intestine, this is the widest one. So again it is divided into three parts: cecum, colon, and rectum. That I already told you. And the food then is the undigested food, which now it does not have any more of the nutrients. Now it is taken out of the body in the form of feces from the anus. Okay, then I told about this salivary gland's importance, the liver, what is the function of the liver, what is the function of pancreas, that we have already learned. Then the next topic is the process of digestion. So we know, apart from movement of the food in the alimentary canal, the food is digested with the help of certain enzymes. So certain enzymes are present in our mouth, certain other enzymes are present in the small intestine, certain other enzymes are present in stomach also. Okay, so let us see in our mouth. You can see these are the three pairs of salivary glands. Okay, so these salivary glands, they are secreting a sort of enzyme which is called salivary amylase, and it is also called ptyalin. Okay, and what is the function of this ptyalin? It converts starch into maltose. Students, this is a form of carbohydrate, and this is also a form of carbohydrate. So whatever the food we are eating, if there is a starch, that starch will be acted upon by the salivary amylase, and this salivary amylase or ptyalin, the names are same. Okay, the ptyalin will break that starch. Starch is a bigger molecule, biomolecule it is, so it will break down it into cut it into the small pieces. Okay, and these individual small pieces are of maltose. So a bigger biomolecule has been broken down into the smaller one, and this is simply called the digestion. Then when we are eating our food, when the food is there in our mouth, it becomes soft, and this soft food is called the bolus. Now this is called the bolus. Now after engulfing the food or swallowing the food, this they are showing the diagram picture of this esophagus, food pipe. Okay, and the food is moving downside. No digestion takes place, simply the movement of the food is taking place over here. Now from here it goes into the stomach. From this food pipe or the esophagus, the food enters the stomach. Okay, now here the stomach diagram they wanted to show you. Now food in stomach. So in stomach what happens? Some more digestion of the food will take place. Again the stomach muscles, they will just churn the food. Okay, churning of food will be there. So in our stomach, once again there are glands also. Some of these glands will be secreting the mucus. Some of other cells, they will be secreting hydrochloric acid. Okay, and some other will be secreting an enzyme called pepsin. So stomach also secretes pepsin, it also secretes hydrochloric acid, it also secretes mucus. Fine. What is the role of hydrochloric acid? It kills the bacteria which enter along with the food or water which we take. Okay. Another function of hydrochloric acid is to activate the pepsin enzyme. Basically, when the pepsin is formed in the stomach, it is formed in the inactive state. So in order to become the active, to get entered into the active state, it needs a acidic medium, and that acidic medium in the stomach is provided by this hydrochloric acid. Okay. Now stomach also produces this mucus. And what is the function of this mucus? Mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach from the effect of acid. So this is the diagram of the stomach, and from inside a layer of it has not been shown over here. Okay, this has been shown. Mucous membrane is there. So that mucous membrane also is formed inside the stomach. And what is the function of this mucous membrane? I told you that hydrochloric acid is also produced. So that hydrochloric acid has the capacity to destroy, to harm the other cells of the stomach. So this mucous membrane protects the contact, inner wall of the stomach from the hydrochloric acid. This is because hydrochloric acid is a very strong acid and it can just have the burning effect. Then we have pepsin. It is also secreted in the stomach. I already told you, and it is the name of the enzyme. I already told you the meaning of enzyme. Okay. So what is the role of enzyme or this pepsin? Particularly, pepsin breaks down large protein molecules into smaller protein molecules called proteoses and peptones. So this is the role of pepsin. Proteins are broken down into proteoses and peptones. So like students, I already told you that starch is a bigger molecule and it has been broken down into maltose. Likewise, proteins, they are very big molecules. Okay, and they needs to be broken down into smaller portions. So if it is a this bigger line which I have drawn, it is of the protein macromolecule, then it will be broken down into the micro ones. Okay, and some of these will be called peptones, some other part will be called proteoses. Then students, we have another sort of enzyme in our stomach that is called renin, and this renin has the capacity to change casein. Casein is a milk protein. Okay, casein is a protein which is found in the milk, so milk protein it is called, and this casein is converted into the another form of casein that is called paracasein, and it is insoluble sort of curd. Okay, and renin is written, but students, that renin definition, just make a correction. It should be RENNIN. Okay, RENNIN, renin. This spelling is also correct, but this renin is somewhat different from this renin. Okay, so this RENNIN changes the milk protein called casein into the insoluble curd. Now, what is the meaning of this insoluble curd? Let me give you one example. You know, kids, small kids, when they are taking milk, like 3-month-old kid, 1-month-old kid, 2-month-old kid, okay, whenever they are taking the milk, sometimes after having the milk, they just vomit out that same sort of milk. But this time what happens, you know, a sort of curd comes out of their mouth. Okay, if you remember, after taking the milk, the child, if the child vomits out, it takes out the curd. Okay, a sort of curd. So this is insoluble curd. Basically, this is the paracasein. So whatever the casein was there in his milk, that milk has been vomited out in the form of paracasein. Okay. So in stomach, the food changes into a pulp-like thick paste called chyme. The chyme from stomach moves into the small intestine. So from mouth it moved to the food pipe or esophagus. From esophagus it moved to the stomach. Now the food will move from stomach to the small intestine. And in our next class we will see the role of small intestine. Several enzymes are also there, and several secretions of liver and pancreas, they are getting into the small intestine. Okay, so this is all for today. Goodbye.